Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to today's webinar, Hydrosphere in Focus, a webinar by Verimpact and the Institute of Sustainable Development in collaboration with NeuroClima and Coastal Pro. We're truly delighted to have you today with us. Thank you for joining us today as we dive into one of the most vital elements of our planet, water. Just only a few days ago, we celebrated World Water Day, and this year's 2025 theme couldn't be more timely. It puts the spotlight on the critical role of water in sustaining life on Earth, aligning with the United Nations Decade of Action for Water. As global challenges like water scarcity, pollution, and climate change continue to escalate, it's more urgent than ever to talk about how we manage and protect our hydrosphere, our planet's interconnected system of water in all its forms. One key initiative addressing this need is the EU mission, Restore Our Ocean and Waters. This mission is dedicated to protecting and restoring aquatic ecosystems, both freshwater and marine, by tackling pollution, promoting sustainable practices, and supporting biodiversity. Through innovative research, improved governance, and stakeholder engagement, the mission aims to combat threats like plastic waste, chemical pollution, and nutrient overload, while also driving climate-resilient water management, nature-based solutions, and a transition to clean energy. It's a bold systemic push towards achieving the EU's zero pollution and biodiversity protection goals by 2030. And now, it's a pleasure to introduce you to our esteemed panelists. First, our keynote speaker, Mr. Frank Schweikert. He's a board member of Mission Ocean and a true champion of marine science and ocean conservation. He's a marine biologist, journalist, and entrepreneur, widely recognized for his work in climate change awareness, coastal protection, and biodiversity advocacy. He is also the founder of the German Ocean Foundation and has been involved in several initiatives around sustainable water management, marine research, and environmental education. Joining us also today is Mr. Spyros Kouvelis, a respected leader in the fields of climate change, sustainability, and the blue economy. With over 30 years of experience, he's held key roles in organizations such as UNEP, WWF, the Ramsar Convention, and Institute for Sustainable Development at the European Public Law Organization. Mr. Kouvelis also served as a member of the Hellenic Parliament and Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs, where he was a strong advocate for environmental policy and governance reform. Today, he leads the EU-GCC Cooperation on Climate Change and Energy project, serves as a senior associate at the University of Cambridge, and is a director at the EPLO Institute for Sustainable Development. And also we have Mrs. Christina Deligianni, Managing Director of Verimpact and Policy Programs Director at EPLO's Institute for Sustainable Development, with an experience of more than 2 decades in public policy, business development, and ESG. Mrs. Christina Deligianni is at the forefront of innovation in sustainability and deep tech. She co-developed Verimpact, an AI-driven ESG methodology, has led multiple EU-funded projects, and curated the Blue Economy Forum in Greece. Now, a quick reminder that the Q&A box is open, so please feel free to send your questions, and as soon as the panel discussion is finished, we will be addressing them all. And without any further ado, Mr. Spyros Kouvelis, the floor is all yours.
Thank you very much, Marina. I trust you can hear me. I will share a few slides with you, which you can see here, hopefully. Let me just open this up. And before I start telling you the few introductory points, before I leave the floor for Frank, because he's really the most interesting speaker of the day, I want to thank the organizers for this. First of all, the team of the Institute for Sustainable Development at the European Public Law Organization, our institute. I would like also to thank Verimpact and the 2 European Union funded projects, NeuroClima and Coastal Pro, for putting this together. More than that, I would like to thank Frank in person for honoring us with his presence. You know, when you participate in a board like the Ocean Mission Board, you get lucky to meet people like Frank, who is one of the leaders globally in thought and knowledge around the ocean. and the maritime environment and the water in the broader reading. So I'm very, very happy that he joined us and he will share his knowledge and experience. Okay, let me say a few introductory words then. First of all, why did we choose to speak about the hydrosphere for the World Water Day? You see, usually the World Water Day traditionally emphasizes access to clean fresh water and issues related to freshwater pollution and so on. But we thought that by looking at the hydrosphere, we can focus and look into the bigger picture. So how all water on Earth is interconnected, how we need to look into the full scope of Earth's water systems like oceans, rivers, glaciers, groundwater, and atmospheric moisture. Let me just make a comment about the picture that you see here on the cover page of my presentation. This is a picture that I have taken myself in the Alps between Switzerland and France. And what you can see is this little dot that you see here that shows that this is the place where the glacier was in 1990. Nowadays, 2 years ago when I took this picture, the glacier is down here. The difference, the height difference is 160 meters. So 160 meters vertical height of glacier has disappeared in this time. What does this mean for the water around the planet? It means that a lot of fresh water has actually melted and has flown down into the ocean. I will not go into many details about what this means in terms of changes for the fresh water and for the water bodies, because we can all understand that this reserve of fresh water on the crust of the Earth is disappearing, and that's important. In speaking about the hydrosphere, we also want to look into the importance it has in sustaining life and ecosystems, but also the growing risks that it faces in terms of pollution, climate change that I mentioned before, overuse of water and overpumping of water. And most of all, the point and the message I am trying to make today is that we need to remember that safeguarding water means protecting an entire system, not just a single resource. And that's why we want to do that. Now, when we speak about the hydrosphere, we should remember that we're talking about one of four Earth, the four systems of the Earth. So the one system is the hydrosphere, and then we have the geosphere, which is everything that includes the soil, the core, the crust, and so on, the atmosphere, oxygen, nitrogen, weather systems, and the biosphere, that is everything that is life in all environments, in land, water, and air. The hydrosphere itself encompasses all of Earth's water in its various forms, so liquid, solid, and vapor. As you can see in this picture, it's the water in the atmosphere, groundwater, rivers and tributaries, glaciers, lakes, oceans, and seas. Everything that is water is the hydrosphere. And it has a lot of importance for making sure that it supports climate, agriculture, industry, fresh water, and so on, but also suffers from issues like deforestation, excessive water extraction, and all of this poses, of course, risks for public health, food security, and economic stability, because as you can see, it's all interconnected. If you look at this picture, there is a continuous virtuous cycle, actually, that shows how the water keeps on going round and round in the Earth. I believe that Frank will speak more about this, so I will not stay with that very long. But I will go to the next point, which is to tell you one or two things about the EU mission. EU mission is the place that brought Frank and myself together, and another about 20 very notable people that are experts in their field, all of them. And the mission Restore Our Ocean and Waters is one of the 5 missions of the European Union. It was launched under the European Union's Horizon Europe Research and Innovation Program, and it focuses, on achieving a healthy, productive, and resilient aquatic environment by 2030. The main goals that the mission is looking at is reducing marine pollution, and especially plastic waste. Second, restoring marine and freshwater ecosystems where they suffer, and they suffer in many places around the planet. And third, a sustainable blue economy. And fourth, improving climate resilience. I will tell you one or two things about the blue economy at the end of my short presentation, but also I would like to add that there is a fifth dimension that we consider important, very important, which is how we can create a digital twin of the ocean. So collect all the data that are existing around the planet, around the knowledge, scientific and other knowledge, to create a digital twin so that we can understand how the ocean works and also assess the impacts of what we are planning to do with the ocean. Also, the mission is divided in what we call the lighthouses. You can see here 4 lighthouses, and these are the geographical major sea bases and river systems in which we are trying to use as hubs for testing and scaling up innovative solutions and tailor them to local conditions. And those hubs are the Atlantic and Arctic one, with the Baltic and North Sea, the Danube and Black Sea system, and here we have a very strong connection between freshwater and marine water, and the Mediterranean region. There is also one thing that would like to drive into everybody's mind, the mission charter. Do look up on the web, on the internet, and find the mission, the Ocean Mission Charter, and sign up to it, because this Ocean Mission Charter is the place where every stakeholder, public or private, is invited to voluntarily commit to concrete actions for protecting the oceans. Anything you will put there will make you recognizable in the map of things that are happening and also connect you with a global community around the ocean. Finally, one point that I would like to really underline is the EU Ocean Pact. This is how it all started, the manifesto for a European Ocean Pact. It was driven by the Europe Jacques Delors Institute and Oceano Azul in Portugal, and a lot of stakeholders around Europe, and not only Europe. And it has now become a political initiative by the European Commission aimed at promoting sustainable ocean management and ensuring the health, resilience, and productivity of the oceans. It looks into objectives that are very much connected to what I said before for the mission. So healthy oceans, sustainable blue economy, research and innovation. It also wants to look into the holistic approach, meaning that we need to have an integrated governance across all sectors, which now does not exist. Every sector around the ocean and the sea is governed separately, so shipping, fishing, coastal zone management, and so on, and we need to find ways to connect all of these points. To do this, the European Union has launched and concluded a consultation process to collect evidence about what needs to be done. And all this will be presented by the European Union as a finalized Oceans Pact by the European Union at the 3rd UN Ocean Conference that is scheduled to take place in June in France, this June. Finally, I'd like to say that the most important thing is to secure that we have policy coherence for the oceans and also strong stakeholder engagement. And look at this final picture that I will show, which is about the blue economy. When we're talking about stakeholders, we're talking about everyone who's doing anything within the maritime, the marine and coastal environment. So you have transport, you have shipbuilding, fisheries, offshore oil and gas, renewable energy, coastal and maritime tourism, biotechnology, aquaculture, mineral resources, and these are only some of the fields that are important in the field of the blue economy. And just to give you a sense of the size of it, the blue economy is nowadays considered to be as important as, for example, the size of the economy of Canada. And by the OECD, the Organization for Economic Development and Cooperation, it is forecasted to become as big as the economy of one of the biggest industrial countries in the world, Germany. So the blue economy is up and coming, and it is important that we undertake this initiative. And I should stress here that it is very much to the honor of Europe that it is promoting the EU Ocean Pact, because it is the first union around the globe that is doing this, in order to better plan and avoid the mistakes that we have done in the past for development on the terrestrial field. I will stop here. I could be going on forever, but I want to stop with this beautiful picture that shows you the connection of a freshwater ground ecosystem, which is a wetland, and the sea. These are two things of the two sides of the same coin, but it's all about water. So I will stop here. I want to thank you for your attention, and now revert back to Frank for his his presentation. Thank you very much.
So should I continue?
Yes,
Spyros, thank you very much, and Marina and Christina and all the team from Verimpact. I'm very honored to be today with you. So a lot of things that Spyros already mentioned will be part of my presentation, and I try to give you a kind of overview. Basically, I'm a journalist, started with radio, TV, and newspaper, and then I studied biology. And what I will present now is more or less the outcome of my last 30 years working in the ocean, for the ocean. And I'm happy to present now some of my conclusions in a very difficult time. So I hope the screen sharing will work. Yes. So as far as you know, all the world is really in danger, and including our water system and groundwater, drinking water, the oceans. And we humans, we have really an obligation to act right now. So I will start with a scientist from Germany, and it's Frederick Fester. Unfortunately, he died some years ago. And he said nature is the most successful enterprise of all time. So nature's recycling system, every product is also a starting product. And he was also a scientist, a biological scientist, and he emphasizes the closed loop system of nature where waste became a resource. So he talked about that the Earth, and not only the Earth, is a self-regulating system, that all the nature works in cycles, not in linear change, that diversity equals stability, and everything is powered by solar energy, and cooperation is more effective than competition, what refers to the first picture I show you and what you hear in the news every day. And feedback, not control, is the key. So we must think systemically, and humans should learn from nature. And I have these two cycles. Left side is one of the most known cycles in nature, the citric acid
Excuse me,
cycle.
Frank, do you mind putting this in presentation mode so that we see the pictures a little bit bigger? So you have to put it in.
I thought it's in the presentation mode.
No, it's not.
Maybe then I put in the wrong way. Just a second.
Yeah, thank you.
Then
I think it has to do with the screen. Which screen you will be showing?
I selected
there you go.
the wrong
Perfect.
screen.
Thank you.
Good remark. Okay, then let's continue from here. So everything is a cycle in a cell, in an organism, and at least on the whole globe. And so I draw this picture, which brought us a bit together, Spyros and me. It will show the main cycles we have on the globe. So on the left side, we have the water cycle regarding the ocean and fresh water and sweet water. We have the material cycle, which is related to us humans. We have the very important nutrient cycle, which is related to agriculture and our soil. And we have the carbon cycle, which is related also to energy and to carbon materials in general. So coming to the sea and the relation between the cycles and the sea, humanity and the sea, we are very close connected. So we have a lot of benefits from the ocean, like food, like energy, like employees and transportation. And the sea provides us with climate regulations, habitats, is also oxygen provider, and I will show in detail on the following slides. So you know the ocean, I don't know why we talk about Earth, planet Earth. We should talk about planet ocean because more than 70% consists of ocean, and the ocean is our natural capital. And so with a lot of economic and social functions, and so all the marine resources is estimated around 24 trillion US dollars. And the ocean is also unknown. So we think that around 1 to 2 million species live in the ocean, and we only know around 10% of it. So so scientists are not sure, and but very happy to have every day several new species discovered. And the ocean provides us of oxygen. And it's very simple to explain because algae live in the water, and the water surface is much bigger than the land surface. So it's logical that a lot of oxygen will come from the ocean, despite where we live, if in Athens or in Hamburg, where I'm at the moment, or in Berlin, or somewhere at the coast. The ocean regulates our climate, and there are still many things to discover about ocean and climate regulation, but we know that we depend on the ocean as a climate stabilizer. And we benefit a lot by transporting lots of goods on the ocean. We have a lot of tourism from and with the ocean, and we also have a lot of cultural things, indigenous knowledge from the ocean, and ocean provides food, and I think that ocean will provide much more food than we take today from the ocean. I will go in more in detail later. And ocean could provide us with medicine. So, for example, we discovered a vaccine for HIV, and also some scientists from Germany and Austria discovered a vaccine against corona, but no one used it until today. And it's the largest carbon sink, and it could be much more than we have. So the ocean are linked with all the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, because everything on the globe is somehow related to one of the 17 SDGs. One person who was a big friend of mine teach me the ocean as the common heritage of humankind. It was Elisabeth Mann-Borghese. He was the first woman in the Club of Rome and was a political scientist, and she was, let's say, the pioneer of ocean governance. And unfortunately, she died in 2002. And we need to continue her working on the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, where we have the tribute of the Law of the Sea, probably in Hamburg. I met her when we opened that, I think 20 years ago, and she created the International Ocean Institute. And she told me that the ocean will force us to collaborate. So also regarding to my first picture, I think we need to learn from the ocean, and if we don't, we will disappear earlier. So we talked about all of this, and more than 3 billion people depend on the ocean, and a lot of the ocean is still unknown. But the ocean is facing dramatic challenges from mainly us humans. So he's suffering from climate change and suffering from pollution. So every minute, one lorry van of plastic is dumped in the ocean. We have the fact of overfishing and industrialization, and a lot of noise. So, for example, a few days ago, 2 whales stranded on the German coast, and nobody knows why. Maybe because of the pollution of sound. So a friend of mine is also Hartmut Krassel, and he said, yes, we must really work on climate change. He was the first member of the IPCC from Germany and the director of the World Climate Research Program. He said to me last week, if we hit the turbo now, we can even be emission-free in 2040. So it's a really loud call from him, and especially we, the industrialized nations, are the main contributors to rapid climate change because we have all the solutions, the financial resources, and we have to position for adaptation and implement climate protection. And why we need to act now, related to the global political situation, we discovered that Europe and the UK have the biggest economic zone in the ocean, which is around 24.5 million square kilometers. Then coming long nothing, and then comes the United States, and then comes Russia, and then comes China. So the exclusive economic zones of the ocean could be a game changer for us in Europe. And we should take the leadership for the oceans and waters now. Why? Because we not only have this big, largest EEZ, we also are the world leading scientific knowledge group, and we now have a historic responsibility and opportunity to accelerate this leadership, mainly in our economic zone. Yeah, how to impact or how to create the impact. I think at the moment when all the world is on fire, we need collaboration between countries and humans. We need to bring together existing bodies of collaboration like MARPOL, like OSPAR, like HELCOM, and we need to also work intensively on the EU Water Framework Directive, which is really a big thing. And we failed to achieve it, and we have to work in future very heavily to get clear and healthy waters around us. And I think we should also work to implement the existing achievements, for example, from the Man and Biosphere program, which means harmonizing people and nature. I think habitats for nature is really good, but humans are part of the nature, so we need to take this in account. So conservation and restoration of biodiversity is very important, fostering sustainable development and research and global cooperation. So the Man and Biosphere program is now 50 years old and a very good base for working on. So possible tools for impact, for making an impact from our knowledge could be artificial intelligence. For example, the German Environmental Agency runs a AI laboratory since many years, and we have a lot of activities, for example, from foundations, and especially let me say from the Solar Impulse Foundation, based in Lausanne in Switzerland, and they have a huge database with around 1,600 solutions, and solutions mainly related to economy. So no one can say we don't know what to do to develop our ocean. And I think the ocean could be it could be a decade of the century for the ocean, for Europe, because we have so much knowledge. And not only in Europe, also, for example, The Economist and the Nippon Foundation, they have a very similar approach. They say we have to go back to the blue. So we have to discover the ocean. We have to put the ocean in the middle of our policy thinking. So one last thing I want to mention is that we have also a big chance to cool down climate with algae, because 3,300 gigatons of CO2 could be absorbed by macroalgae, for example, seaweed, by farming it to accomplish the Paris Agreement. So, for example, sargassum grows 10 to 30 times faster than any terrestrial plants, and they double their mass in just 10 to 14 days. And what we can take out of algae is not only food, it's building materials, it could be biofuels or animal feed. And so we need to put our focus more on this algae item. Also, Elisabeth Mann-Borghese told it to me, and we have to grow more international, especially Europe, corporations to work on that and solve climate things and solve a lot of other things with these super food from the ocean. Now, we have the Green Deal in the European Union, and I know the Green Deal has a bit of problems, but like Spyros also mentioned, we have now a big window of opportunity because Ursula von der Leyen sees that there is a lot of things happening related to blue, and I want to repeat everything on the globe of water is related to the 4 main cycles. One is the water cycle, the second is the carbon cycle, the third is the material cycle with all the recycling efforts we already do or have to do, and the last one is the nutrient cycle, which is dealing mainly with our soil and agriculture. And if we have a look on this picture, mainly the most thing is blue and everything is related to the ocean. So I think our economy should work not only on a Green Deal, we should work on a blue Green Deal because everything is connected with each other, and we do good to improve more our economy with the ocean and in the ocean in a sustainable way. So coming back to the 5 EU missions Spyros already mentioned, there is a direct link to all these 4 of the 5 missions. So the material cycle is really directly connected to smart city mission. The water cycle is connected to the ocean and seas and inland water mission. Then the nutrient cycle is connected to the soil health and food mission, which reported last time that, for example, 70% of the soil in the European Union is really in danger and more or less dead. So we urgently need to work on that. And last but not least, the carbon cycle. So my idea is also that, for example, all the 27 commissions could be alongside these cycles, and this could be discussed maybe later. So Spyros already mentioned the EU mission on water and ocean, and we have a lot of results from the last 2-3 decades of research on this in the European Union, and now we need to act. We need to take out the results from scientific community, from society, rethink and begin with the ocean. And so one of the major achievements is the Manifesto for a European Ocean Pact, and we will launch in Nice in June, and Ursula von der Leyen will do it, the European Ocean Pact. So at the moment, the Commission is drafting this Ocean Pact, and all of us, all of the stakeholders involved in this manifesto and in ocean things, we are very happy that now the window of opportunity seems to be very open to make an ocean deal for Europe, and also related to the biggest EEZ we have in Europe, to make our own rules. So we need a lot of campaigning. So happy to meet all of you to help with this, and also creating an impact for the at the moment existing United Nations Decade for Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. And they have a lot of ocean literacy initiatives. So some key takeaways for you. We must move fast now. We should understand that all things on the globe are related to natural cycles, and these natural cycles could be the major philosophy for sustainable policy. So everybody talks about that Europe is too complicated. Yes, maybe. And if we shrink the many rules to these cycles and make things easy who are related to the cycles, and make things more difficult who lose the cycles and make a disaster on the globe. So then we need immediately evaluate knowledge and transfer the knowledge to society, economy, and policy. And I think that Europe needs to take the lead based on our scientific knowledge now. We need a blue-green deal. Yeah, so that's it. Thanks a lot for your attention, and I think I can share this presentation with you later if requested.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Frank. This has been wonderful, very insightful, very rich. And thank you for mentioning the Ocean Pact, which is under consultation at this moment. And the mission board, you, Spyros, have been working on this since, if I'm not mistaken, March 2024. So it's great to see how our recommendation is becoming a policy in the context of the European Union. And he talks about blue carbon, algae, mammals, taking the lead for the Blue Green Deal. And my question is regarding climate change. So we see that climate change is accelerating the degradation of water systems, be it fresh water, be it marine water. So in what ways is this happening, and what are the regions that are most at risk at this point?
Yeah, very often asked questions. So I think there is a very primitive answer. So if we want to combat climate change, we have to work intensively on the renewable energy side. So renewable energy today, especially solar energy, is the cheapest energy we can have and is the most sustainable energy. So there are a lot of solutions to put it on the roof, to heat water, to make agriculture solar panels to make shadow for plants. So there are a lot of possible constructions for this. And secondly, and this will be also addressed around the NIS summit in June, is the financial area. So we have to lead or to direct the financial flows into solutions who keep us with these major natural cycles. So everything what is working in cycles is beautiful for the Earth, and we will stay longer. And if, for example, the plastic item where we only recycle between 5 and 7%, this is a really big disaster, and we need to stop it as soon as possible. And I think the European Commission made a lot of effort to promote the circular economy, but we should not only talk too much. Now is the time to do it.
Thank you. And we see a lot of financing gaps, especially when it comes to ocean financing. SDG 14 is the list, or rather the most underfunded SDG of all. And we see a lot of underfunding as well when it comes to climate change adaptation. And I refer to adaptation because we're part of NeuroClima, or NeuroClima as a project is creating AI systems for adaptation for citizens and policymakers. So my question is there enough financing, or are there solutions that promote climate change adaptation that could be possible financing opportunities for investors? Because we also hear a lot of investors claiming that there are not enough ocean solutions or big enough, or a lot of climate change adaptation solutions. And this is a question both to you and Spyros as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of these things are related to lobbyism. So when we see the fossil fuel industry, for example, they have a lot of money because they get the resources out of the soil and sell it very expensive. So they make money out of nothing, and it's a debt on our environment because it took billions of years to create these resources, and we burn it just in, let's say, seconds. So I think to be clear, to stop this bad lobbying is one of the most important things. Secondly, we have a lot of a lot of subsidies also here in Germany for bad solutions, not leading us to the future, for old, not cycle-related industries. For example, also in the fisheries, we subsidize really critical and critical fishery business, and we need to review that. And I think, Spyros, we will do that in the mission board, looking really on these things. Where is the money going to? Because in an intelligent community like we have, we should stop this bad subsidy manner immediately.
If I can add something to what Frank said on your question, Christina, I think that the issue of, as we call it, perverse incentives or bad subsidies for things that are happening is very important. And first and foremost, it has to be identified as such. I think that, as I said before, and Frank also mentioned it, having the EU Ocean Pact as an official policy of the European Union is a tremendous opportunity, because once we can identify such issues, and then we start to develop policies around that, we can do it. The second thing is that, as you said, there is a lot of innovation and there's a lot of need for innovation for things to happen. But there is one thing that we need to take into account, that innovation that involves technologies or solutions within the marine environment are usually very capital intensive. They're very expensive. So if you want to change things in shipping, you need to put a lot of capital in it. And again, it is a matter of policies, because I myself have heard ship owning representatives saying that, yes, we'll be happy to choose and use any technology, but you have to develop it and then bring it to us as a safe technology to use. And they immediately exclude themselves from the cost and process of developing those technologies. This is wrong. They are the ones that need to invest capital into this to find the solutions. And this is something that needs to be driven also by the European Union. Let me just say that the discussion with the International Maritime Organization has been going on for more than 15 years now. Until recently, they accepted to start changing some of the standards and accept that they do have a contribution in the global climate crisis. So these are things that are evolving, but again, as Frank says, we need to evolve much faster. And this is why, again, I think that the European Ocean Pact is a very, very good opportunity to really build the policies and the action around it. And I frankly believe, also related to the first picture that Frank showed, that if we do this compared to the rest of the world, Europe will find itself again in a leading position. And that could also be a very important economically leading position, which I very much welcome, especially under the current conditions that we're going through geopolitically.
Mm-hmm. And there is the geopolitical, or rather political aspect of the ocean economy that sometimes we forget, because we are very much focusing on marine data, on what is happening on the ocean exploration, and apart from what is being done now at the EU level or at the national government level, what could communities, especially those communities in developing countries or small island nations that will be suffering more from climate change and the rising water levels, so how can these communities better safeguard their water resources, their marine biodiversity, especially since they have very much limited financial capacity? Both to Frank and Spyros.
Spyros, go ahead.
No, it's okay. You can go first. No worries.
I think we are living in a democracy, and we should use our democracy to strengthen this knowledge and scientific-based solutions we have. So this is the most important thing, and I want to add something more. So everything around the ocean is security. It's not only the security of life, it's also food security, and not many people know is that I think 95% of all the world data are not going via satellite, they're going on cables on the sea. And we had a lot of issues in Germany and in the Baltic Sea, for example, when some of these aggressors' boats went on the cable, dropped their anchor, and they destroyed the cable. So this is the backbone of our society, and we need to be much more careful in future. But coming back to your question, we should influence policy really to take action now and to open the mind for ocean things, because ocean will be our resource for the future, not only in Europe and the whole globe. And as sooner we start with this, as happier we will be.
Just in reply, I want to share a picture that I just pulled up from the internet. This is what happened in February, just less than a month ago. This is what happened in the United States. The new administration of the United States practically fired everyone who was of any use to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration in the United States, which is a very big blow because it is one of the most knowledgeable, used to be one of the most knowledgeable institutions globally. Fortunately, Europe is going the exact opposite way. We are investing a lot of funds through the Horizon project in this research. And as Frank said before, we need to do even more, and we need to focus this effort as much as we can in providing solutions that can really work. And that is one thing, because the academic community is important. And forgive me for saying this, but this might be an opportunity for Europe, because all of these super knowledgeable people will need a new home. And we need to consider this. The knowledge that we'll now have to find another home outside the United States needs to be also homed and housed within Europe as much as we can. And I think that's important. And we need to start thinking this way. It's not about competition. It's about using the best mined material that there is out there. The second thing that you mentioned, Christina, and I think it is very important, is in the sense of communities, the local and coastal and maritime communities. These are people that are living out of the ocean, that are living out of those systems, and we need to be able to create as much knowledge and involvement as we can. And the third is the business community. In Europe, we have a tradition of thinking that, politics and business should not mix, and I think they should not mix in terms of transparency, but in terms of working hand in hand, they need to. Because unless we manage to take, the scientific knowledge, drive it through policies and make them implemented on the ground through business, nothing will happen. Because actually the funds that are needed to make things happen are so many that it's not just government funding. So also the business community is very important in that.
Great. And this actually brings to a question that we have from the audience. From Mr. Samir Grimes, how to improve connections between southern and northern Mediterranean marine network scientists. So it's more scientific, based, but how can we improve the connections and probably the collaborations between South and North Mediterranean when it comes to scientists from the marine sector?
Maybe Spyros can talk more about this, because you're in the middle of the Mediterranean, but I have one answer for it.
Please go ahead.
I think that the United Nations Decade for Ocean Science for Sustainable Development is a big chance for this interactive solutions. And I know that a big thing is to involve the Global South and to let participate the Global South on everything what we have. And I think, for example, ECOP Africa is a group of African scientists and activists now collaborating really intensively with Europe. I think this could bridge the gap very, very good. And the young generation, so I believe in the young generation, and as far as I can see, they make a good effort in this.
Just to add to what Frank says, there are a few things that I consider very good opportunities for those who want to be involved from the south, be it the European South or the south coast of the Mediterranean, south and east coast. One of them is definitely the EU mission. And I mentioned before the charter. I think that what we have been trying to do through the mission is to invite not only from the European Union, but also from neighboring countries, the contributions through the mission charter, because this is a very, very good meeting point. Once they are signatories of the charter, they belong to this pan-European, let's say, community, and they can connect with each other. The second part of this chain is that then they can also become part of the projects that are launched through EU Horizon. And as you know, Christina, from the EU Horizon projects that the Institute has been involved with, the participation of non-European countries is very much welcome. And EU Horizon wants non-European, especially South Mediterranean and so on, countries to participate in such research and innovation projects. And I think we need to get the word out there, invite as many as possible from research institutions from these countries to participate and find partners. And the final piece of news, which I think is very important, is that just a month ago, the European Commission created a new Directorate General. You know that the European Commission is divided in DGs, like ministries in a way, so energy and maritime affairs and climate and so on. A month ago, a new DG was created for the MENA region, Middle East and North Africa. And this is very important because it takes the focus of looking at the whole European neighborhood, the areas outside Europe, specifically for this part of the world. And this is important, and we expect that very soon we'll see a lot of activity coming out of DG MENA, because we exactly want to involve as much as possible activities in this neighborhood of Europe to have solutions that will cover all of the Mediterranean, that will bring us even closer to the North Africa and East Mediterranean region and so on.
Great, thank you. I have also filled in some material in the chat, because we have a free coastal tourism course. It's not a scientific course, but it's more a gamified course for students and young professionals in the coastal tourism. We have another question regarding the upcoming EU regulations regarding the green transition, regarding CSRD and ESG omnibus. So the question is regarding this green transition, blue transition, if the necessary technology for this transition is ready for all the regulations that will be coming into effect, and what is the best way to balance the pressure required to create action and the time needed to create such solutions? So are we ready, technologically ready, to answer to all the pressures, but also to all the regulations that are coming our way?
Yeah, good question. I think that industry should and could take the lead. Industry is quicker than policy. And this is the reason why the European Commission installed the mission boards to be able to react more quickly. And it's the courtesy of Spyros, me, and the colleagues in the mission board to find good solutions. And if there are some solutions in the group here, we will be happy to take it. And for sure, we need to make things much easier. And that's the reason why I invented this graphic with all the cycles, because everything is very complicated, and I try to bring it down to simple things, to simple original things, how nature deals with materials and energy and everything. So my idea is to think about and look into the all these regulations, and hopefully to make them easier for things who are and activities, also industrial activities, who are along these cycles. For example, in 2 weeks ago in Brussels, someone from Portugal told me, "Oh, Frank, I have a really big problem because I cannot my algae business in the ocean, because everything in our areas is marine protected areas. And we need also to rethink this status of marine protected areas. Why should humans not be active as a part of the environment in a marine protected area when there is no footprint? no negative footprint. I think some traditional, some original, and some not harming things, interactions between humans and ocean should be allowed and not forbidden.
I'd like to comment a little bit on your question, Christina, from the other side, which is something I already said. And I saw that we have a question like this also in the Q&A from, what is the name of, from Ms. Rita Silva, who was talking about the conference related to maritime transportation and the policy moving faster than the solutions. My point of view is that technology and innovation will never be totally ready. I mean, it's an evolution, it's an evolving thing, and we need to make the best of the mature technologies that we have now. But as I said, this is an expensive process, and this is why we need to join forces between the state support from the European Commission and the countries and the business itself. The business has to pick up the bill for that. And to be honest, I think that when the business does so, there is a big, I think, Norwegian marine transportation company that has decided to become the leader in less carbon intensive ways of transportation, in fuels and so on. And now they're reaping the benefits of that because they're the leaders in the field. I think we need to promote this kind of collaboration and make sure and understand that, you know, testing new technologies is the new frontier. And this is what we have to do.
Great. I don't think we have enough time, but there is just one question that we might take from Pierre. I suppose it's Pierre from NeuroClima regarding policymakers. So do policymakers know sufficiently what is happening in terms of the hydrosphere, in terms of the ocean, or they don't know? So what do you think? Are the policymakers well acquainted with the issues, or there's something that is missing there?
I think it depends on the party and on the background. So, for example, 2 weeks ago, I talked to a member of a right-wing party, member of European Parliament, about agriculture, and her knowledge was not really proper. And so I will invite her to visit the organic farm and to see with their own eyes. So I think a lot is education, and because the ocean and the water system is complex and most of the things are beneath the waves, we really need this ocean literacy, this communication initiatives, because, for example, countries who don't have a coast, everyone is related to the ocean, and we need to explain people how they benefit from the ocean, and when they understand, they won't harm the ocean and water cycles in general.
I very much like this positive take that Frank is following, and I don't like, you know, to devalue political people. I have been in politics and I've met a lot of people in politics, and it's true that the lack of knowledge is the worst thing. Of course, there are politicians that will never understand, no matter how much they will want to do. We spoke about some of those before, but in general, people in politics are also humans, and they care about their children and they care about the planet and so on. But we need to provide knowledge. I would like to take the opportunity of what you just put a moment ago on the meeting chat about this course that Verimpact has done on the blue economy. I would like to propose to you that you approach the ministries that are related to the sea, not only in Greece, but everywhere, and just offer them to take the course without any cost. Just let them go there, guys, and get educated about the blue economy, because once they understand the importance and the interconnections between the different parts of that, then they will be able to take better decisions.
Thank you. And also Pierre, who comes from Switzerland, is thanking you, because for Swiss people, the ocean is obviously a common which they must become knowledgeable about. And with this,
let me remind that the picture that we showed from the glacier in the beginning that is melting and going to the coast was in the border between Switzerland and France, actually.
Very true, very true. And with this, I would like to thank everyone for participating in this webinar. I would like to thank our guest speaker, Frank, Spyros, and all the team of Verimpact and the Institute that have contributed to this. Also, the teams at NeuroClima and Coastal Pro for disseminating the webinar. And probably we will be having another one again on the ocean issues, ocean-related issues in month's time. So stay tuned. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone so much for your participation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.